Now, there is a group called ALEC. And whether you know what they are or not, they have been a pain in your ass for 15, 20 years now. The American Legislative Exchange Commission. One of those. If you've ever noticed a bunch of different red states passing bills that are similar, like abortion bills, they were written by ALEC. It's this think tank consortium of billionaire assholes. Alec Baldwin is an asshole too. And they've been writing these cookie cutter bills to try to get them through state legislatures. So here is video of them talking about their plans for the election tomorrow.
I can't believe I get the closing argument. But, you know, we've been focused on the national vote, and obviously we all want President Trump to win and win the national vote. But it's very clear from all the comments and all the suggestions up front that really when it comes down to is the states and the state legislators. And I think this is an action session where we're looking for what we can do. And I will say that at ALEC, which is the organization for the...
Now, when they say that, and every clip that we're going to watch about this going forward here, remember, Trump's own campaign expects him, before COVID, they were expecting Trump to lose by around 5 to 7 million votes, which checks out. As I've explained to other people, Biden doesn't have Hillary Clinton's... He doesn't have the 30 years of propaganda against him. He doesn't have all the misogyny going against him. And he's far more likable than she was. So if she was able to get like 3.5 million more votes than Trump, it stands to logic that fucking Biden would easily get 5 to 7 million more votes than Trump. I think that number is probably going to be between 7 and 10 million, to be honest with you. So what the Trump campaign is banking on is to try to steal the election through the courts, through intimidation, to stop the vote count. Because they know they can't win in a fair election. And this is twice in my fucking lifetime. Twice now. There's going to have to be a fucking landslide election to take the GOP out of power after they fucked up the country. Twice in my lifetime. Now, I'm not a Democrat. I'm very much an independent. But through this election cycle, I have come to the opinion that one of the reasons why the GOP is so strong is because their voters will vote for them no matter what. Even if they supposedly don't like the candidate, they'll hold their nose and vote for them. So from now on, I'm not voting for Joe Biden. I'm definitely not voting for Joe Biden in this election. I'm voting for Bernie Sanders to be the chairman of the banking committee. I'm voting, or possibly Bernie Sanders to be the labor secretary, possibly Elizabeth Warren to be the treasury secretary. That's what I'm voting for in this election. There is no way that Trump is going to win. And I'm getting ready to play you a bunch of videos about people that know they are not going to win an election fairly. These people are aware of it. So they're going to try to use some sort of political bureaucratic machinations to stay in power. I'm not saying that Trump won't still be the president come January 21st. That's not what I'm saying. Trump does not win the election tomorrow. It is impossible. It is not happening. I would take that bet. I've showed the polls. I know what's going on. Trump loses tomorrow by a landslide, by between 5 and 10 million votes, for sure. Now, we might not know this until a couple weeks out. For sure, More people in this country are going to vote for Joe Biden in the millions. It's a given. That's why they're going to try to steal the election.
State legislators, we've already kind of looked at some of these things. I'm happy to say that we passed the election.
If Trump wins, I will go live naked the next time. Yes. You'll see my fur on my chest.
Electoral College model resolution and policy at ALEC to make sure there's no confusion among conservative legislators around national popular vote and Electoral College. In fact, Ray Haynes was an old ALEC chairman, so the very guy that's leading the national popular vote is kind of using the leverage of having been a conservative in California, and I know there are not a lot of those, to try to confuse legislators across the country. So an action item there on the Electoral College is to make sure that if you know your legislators in your state, which I hope you do, that you're communicating to them that you support the Electoral College, and that did you know that ALEC has a model policy on that.
You know what she's talking about, right? She's talking about them going against the will of the popular vote and appointing their own electors. Because that's a power that the state legislature has.
In terms of the process issues that I think Hans and Brad spoke about so eloquently, that's another thing that we're doing. We're working with Hans and Brad and Cleta Mitchell, who I know you all know, on trying to identify what are those action items that legislators can take in their states, and I think we've identified a few.
It is the American Legislative Exchange Committee.
Questioning the validity.
We're going to go over exactly what ALEC is here in just a second.
That night. So we are drafting a lot of those things. If you have ideas in that area, let us know, and we'll get those to the state legislators, and they can start to kind of exercise their political muscle in that area.
Thank you, Samantha.
Can't believe
that's what she means. To subvert the will of the popular vote in the state and appoint their own slate of electors. That's actually constitutional. Amazingly enough. Through ALEC, global corporations are scheming to rewrite your rights and boost their revenue. Absolutely. Like with any right-wing propaganda, there's a name associated with it, and of course it's the fucking Koch brothers. Koch brother now, one of them's dead. Who funds ALEC? The Kochs. Every time some right-winger sends me some fucking opinion piece about why the EPA should be eliminated or why global warming isn't real, I look up the author and they work for the Koch brothers. Every fucking time. Me, as an independent media personality, I am up against a fucking $1 million, if not $1 billion worth of propaganda coming from a small handful of corporations and fucking asshole billionaires. Now, the Trump campaign has already been asking. I like weed too. If you've noticed, I haven't been smoking weed as much on the stream. And it's because I've watched myself back and realized I'm not as sharp when I'm fucking getting blasted on the bong when I start my show. So I'm going back to my my rule that I used to use for stand-up is that I would not smoke an hour before I went on stage. So I'm not going to smoke an hour before I do the show from now on. So I'm sorry. That's why we haven't been doing Reefer and a Rant lately. Because I get fucking blasted on the bong and just lose my train of thought halfway through what I'm saying. So, the Trump campaign is reportedly planning a way to bypass the 2020 election results in key states, such as Pennsylvania. The campaign has been looking into these arcane rules of being able to promote their own slate of electors. weighing a post-election strategy that would bypass the results in key swing states by installing electors who would vote for the president in the Electoral College, even if he loses. Because the states have the power to do it. The states he's looking at doing it in are Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. I've thought about that because I have a really cool graphic for Reefer and a Rant. Breed Greed's seen it. So I don't really want to ditch it. So maybe I'll do Reefer and a Rant at the end of the show. That's possible. Now, beyond appointing their own electors, the GOP has been challenging the vote over and over again. This is the Pennsylvania ballot case. They've done it in North Carolina. They've done it in Texas. Today, a judge ruled against them in Texas because they were trying to throw out drive-through votes in Texas. Technically, it's not cheating because of the Electoral College. A state appointing its own slate of electors that goes against the popular vote is legal and constitutional. That's one of the reasons why progressives and people like me want to do away with the Electoral College. So they're trying to reject ballots. And that's another thing. I've said it over and over and over again. Well, yeah, Trump has gone full-blown fascist. Another dictator move is the fact that Trump has already said that he's going to fire the head of the FBI, the head of the CIA, and the Joint Chiefs for not investigating his political opponents. These are this head of the CIA, the FBI, the Joint Chiefs, they are all Trump appointees. And he's upset that they didn't go far enough in investigating Obama and Hillary, blah, blah, blah. So if Trump wins tomorrow, he isn't going to win. If he remains president on January the 21st, what he's going to do is fire all the heads of those agencies and put in somebody that is going to imprison Obama, Hillary, and fucking Adam Schiff, John Kerry. He's thrown out all kinds of names, journalists. It will be a fascist hellscape in this country if that man remains president. Remember, he will not win tomorrow. And that's one of the reasons why businesses are already boarding up. The White House has erected a giant fence